Welcome to Listen In, Thursday morning. Angela Miner, David Davis. We are happy to have with us in the studio today Mr. Andy Brown. Welcome, Andy.
Thank you, Angela. Thank you, David. Appreciate you letting me come in.
Well, I'm glad you came.
Andy is the president of the Museum Center at Five Points, as well as an attorney here in town, and we hope to hear about a few things from you. Andy, tell us a little bit about yourself first.
Well, first, let me thank y'all for letting me come on today. It's really a exciting thing to always get to come on the radio, and especially when it's on behalf of the Museum Center. So I'm fired up to be here, and hope there's a lot of information that gets brought out there in the public today, which is just going to make the museum even better. But as for me, I'm a native of Cleveland. I grew up here, went to Cleveland High School, Stewart Elementary before that, and Cleveland Middle School. Went away to college out of state for my undergraduate, and then came back to Tennessee for my law degree.
So are you going to tell us which state and where?
Which state and where? Well, it was the great state of Washington, D.C., which I don't think is a state. So I was really out of state. But went to American University up there, and I couldn't leave fast enough. And went back to Nashville and got my law degree at Nashville School of Law. And let's say the rest is history. I moved back here in 2011 to practice law with my dad, Bill Brown. Some of y'all might know him.
Sure.
Some of you might like him, some of you might not, but that's the way it is with being a lawyer. But anyways, I'm back now and having a great time.
How did you get involved in the museum, Andy?
Well, I tell you, the museum's been around since, it's been around for a long time, since it's been around for about, I guess, 16 years by this point. And it started as being just a group of citizens here that wanted to come together to try to preserve what history we have around this part. And they got involved with local government, and the local government assisted, and we just had a lot of support from the community. But when I was living in Cleveland, that's when the museum kind of started to be. And so, I saw it kind of come to fruition, and then I left town and I came back. And when I came back, after not long of practice, then I got approached by my good friend Franklin Chansey, who was, I think, the president of the museum at that point in time, and he's also a local lawyer. And he said, Andy, we just need some more people on the museum board, and nobody wants to do it. You want to come on? So I said, yeah, how about it? So I joined up, and tell you what, it's been a great experience. The things that are happening down there, and the folks that work there, the people that give their time just from a volunteer standpoint are amazing for the museum. And we hope that it's doing a service to this community, and I think it is, and maybe preserving some of those things that we all hold dear in the meantime. So it's great.
Well, your office is not very far from there, and for a young lawyer, that's a good thing to get. Your civic activities, those are good things for you to.
Oh, no doubt. Well, downtown Cleveland, that's kind of one of the things that we're pushing with the museum right now, is that downtown Cleveland is changing, and it's been for so long that everything was moving to the north end of town, and that's where you saw a lot of the development. But now you see that there's been a lot of investment in the downtown area, just not just around the courthouse, but down towards the Five Points area where the museum is. And, we have restaurants down there, some great restaurants with the Catch, and with, 5 Point Square. You've got CBC, you've got some some businesses, and all of that combined helps increase the footprint of that downtown area, and obviously helps the museum and what it's trying to do. And so, for me as a young business person, I wouldn't be anywhere else in downtown right now. It's a great place to be.
Mm-hmm. So what do you like about serving on that board?
The museum boards, I like to tell people it's a little bit different. And when we start off, I guess when we started this year, and I was talking to the people who were new coming on the board, I kind of started with saying, this isn't your typical board where you just show up and you're just there, and it's all you go through the motions each time. But this is a working board. We have the museum is a business. It is a fully operational business with a staff, with obviously collections that have to be maintained. We've got revenue that we've got to generate. We've got people coming in and out all the time. We've got events that are set up, and that is done in large part by them, but the board is there to be representatives in the community. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to drive membership for the museum, and we're also trying to promote the museum just in and amongst our own individual circles, and then also just in the community at large. I mean, I guess, our executive director, Hassan Najjar, he's doing a great job of being at things like Rotary. He's always announcing stuff there. He's always trying to get us in the paper. You'll see the sign right in front of the museum, which is telling what we're doing. There's just a whole host of things that are going on. But the board has to work for it. And everybody on that board has a special part that they play, whether it be on some of our committees or whether it be going out in the community and talking about the museum. But every single person there is doing something all the time, and that's one of the things that makes the museum board different, is that you actually have to work when you get on it.
So the museum has a relationship with the Smithsonian Institute now.
That's right. We've had a big year in terms of affiliations. You know, we just recently got the notoriety of being a Smithsonian affiliate museum, which is exciting because it allows people that are members of the Museum Center here to go to other Smithsonian affiliates. I mean, we're talking about everywhere from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco, California, and you get to go to those museums for free with your membership just here with the Museum Center. So that's a huge boon. Another partnership that we've got is with Cleveland State, and Cleveland State and the museum have worked out a deal where their students can come to the museum and get discounts on memberships as well as things from our museum store, which is just top notch. And that's a huge partnership that we're really excited about. And, you know, the things that we don't put in the paper so much, and it's not because we're not proud of them, just because there's so much going on, it's hard to get everything in. As you know, being an old banner guy, you've got a lot of stuff you got to cover other than just the museum. But, you know, we work with Lee University. We work with local businesses here. We have a relationship with Whirlpool. We've got a huge religious artifact exhibit that's going to be coming in here in just a few months, and we are one of, I believe it's 3 places in all of the United States. I believe it's Dallas, I think, or Houston, one of the two, place in Texas, San Francisco, and then us. And then our choice is either to send it to one other place in the U.S. or we send it directly back to Israel. But it's a huge collection of artifacts, and Lee's going to be helping us with that. Their archaeology department's going to be providing some additional stuff. There's just a lot of things that are going on at the museum which make it so much, I guess, more involved than it has been in the past, and we're really excited about that.
Well, the museum, what I'm impressed with is that it appeals to a large group of folks. There, you know, families, kids can come, elderly people can come, you know, all kinds of interests areas at the museum. You walk in the door, what are we going to see?
That's
Andy?
a really, really good point, Angela. So the museum, over the past few years, we've kind of been in a transition phase where we had a lot of people coming and saying, you know, the museum is great. It's wonderful. Great venue, you know, beautiful building, but the collection's kind of stagnant. You know, we've got the same stuff that's been there for a long time. We go once, we come back again, it's the same stuff. Why are we staying members? Well, one thing that's changed recently, and you may have seen it, is that we have these rotating exhibits. We have a rotating exhibit space now. And we've had things in there from, you know, building Cleveland up, talking about industries and how this great part of the state was kind of formed, to the dirt track exhibit, which was recent, about Cleveland
terrific.
Speedway and some of the other great dirt track racing history that's around this part. And even if you don't like car racing, it's neat to go and see that stuff. We had a race car set up in the actual museum. I mean, it's cool. And then the most recent one that we have up, and it's still there right now if I'm not mistaken, is the Matt Moulthrop wood turning exhibit. And you know, everybody, or at least me, let's just say me, I said, a wood turning exhibit. First of all, what's wood turning? And second of all, are people really interested in coming to see a bunch of woodwork? Well, let me tell you right here, there was a huge crowd of people. And Matt Moulthrop, who's an artist, came in and he did a question and answer. And people just were so enthralled with the things that he was doing. I mean, even our executive director, which is amazing, has a lathe, which he's put in this exhibit, an old antique lathe. I mean, there's just all sorts of neat things that are there for people to see. Now, you're talking about, you know, things for kids and adults. In the summer times, we have a children's program. It goes through it's like a camp, and you come in and you learn about the region, and you get to do things, you know, of Indian nature, and it's just a good time for kids to get together. It's a good way for parents to have a little relief, and it's really, really inexpensive too. But so we're trying to cover the range of things from, you know, the kids all the way up to the adults. We want to be in the community. We've got a great education director right now in Joy Venstra, who's going around to the schools and trying to get a partnership with each of those organizations to try to get more involved with students and try to promote the history of this region. Because that is kind of what the museum's about. It is exactly what the museum's about, is that we're trying to tell the story of the Ocoee region. And it doesn't do any good if we just have it sitting over here at the museum. We want it to be shared. And we had a great gala just this past weekend. I don't know if you heard about it, but
Oh, sure.
70s based. We honored Alan Jones, who is a great supporter of the museum. And, you know, the people there really, really have the same mindset that the museum does right now, and that we want to tell the stories that are such a big part of our history and not just let them sit there and be stagnant. So that's
And you got to see the village people perform.
and the village
Correct?
people. That's exactly right.
That's
They
mine
were-
and David's day, I'm afraid.
They were
Andy.
quite a treat, and they were still two of the originals left. And I tell you what, I hope I can move like that at that age. So
So, now you've got these relationships with the different institutions, but what about if somebody has something in their attic and they want to throw it out, but it might be actually something that you would want to can people call and find out?
they definitely can. Our executive director is really, really knowledgeable about artifacts, and he's able to, if he doesn't know something, he's really eager to learn about them. You know, if you have something out there that you think may be of interest to the museum, I'd encourage you to contact, bring it by. The museum is open, I believe it's Tuesday through Friday every week. If you come by, show it off, or just talk to the executive director or whoever else you can, see what the possibilities may be. I mean, you know, we don't want the no offense to anybody, but if it's garbage and you're thinking of getting rid of it just because it's old and worn out, that doesn't necessarily make it part of the museum or necessary for our history. But if it's something that really does have some significance, you know, it's definitely something you need to look into the museum and see if we might be able to help you out with it.
So you're saying I have to load my pickup up and
Yeah,
and-
the
and
trip
go
to
to
the
the
dump
dump.
can't stop at the museum first, okay?
Okay.
Or you could probably just take a picture, David, if you had an antique lathe, which I imagine would be heavy.
That's
just
exactly
take a
right.
photo and
Yeah, pictures are great. We do have the internet there, so you can send it over the World Wide Web.
But I think, no, seriously though, one of the criticisms I have heard is that it's that the museum center is more of a party place for the more affluent
Mhm.
people in Cleveland. And how are you working to change that?
Sure, there's always going to be perceptions out there about what the museum or what it isn't. And, you know, there's 100,000 people in Bradley County right now, and that's, you know, a lot of people are going to have different opinions in terms of, you know, whether or not it's affluent or not. You know, we have things all the time at the museum, which are Cherry's Jubilee is an excellent example. Things that are low cost or no cost for folks, and you know, there are events there. Most of them are private, but the things that are there from a public standpoint are very inexpensive. A membership at the museum costs, I believe, for a family right around $60 for an entire year. So we try to keep the cost down as much as possible. You know, a lot of people think the museum has a big partnership with our local governments, and we do in the sense that we are symbiotic in that we are beneficial to them and they are beneficial to us. But in terms of financing, we don't get a lot of money from them. I mean, we get something, but it's probably less than 10% of what our overall operating budget is. And so everything else that we do has to be done through individual contributions, or it has to be done through membership, which, remember, that's $60 for a family. Or it's done just through grants that we get from the federal or state government. So, you know, we do the best we can to cater to everybody, and I think we do a pretty good job. And we try to provide something for everybody, and we just want to see more people come out. And the more people that come out and express interest, the more we can do to make sure that every single group that's interested in the museum has something that there for them.
I know you didn't ask me that question, David, but my perception is that this is the history of all of us. I mean, the exhibits and stuff reflect everybody in Bradley County. If you worked at Hardwick Stove, you know, if you worked at American Uniform, if you remember, you know, Cleveland Chair, if you've done those things, go back and enjoy and look at I know you didn't ask me that question, but that's my perception.
But
It's a museum for the people. I mean, it's
There's, you know, the things that are in there are things which are, you're exactly right. It's not about the wonderful families that have done so much to start the museum as much as it is what made Cleveland what it is. And it started with the foundries, Brown Stove Works, the people that were working there. You know, the dirt track exhibit. Tell you what, those are folks that hard working. I mean, the idea of putting together this racing system throughout the Southeast, the Cleveland Speedway. I mean, this is stuff that really demonstrates what the real American spirit is. And then wood turning. Wood turning is something that, goodness gracious, it's been around since the beginning of time, as far as I can tell. I mean, you talk about the Bible, and the cup that Christ drank out of, at the Last Supper, and that was made of wood. That was wood turning. I mean, those are things. We don't have that cup obviously at the museum, but it goes back in time to some really important things. It's all really great.
I would like to go back just for a little bit, since I was a teacher, about your outreach with education. I read something online, the Discovery Boxes, Appalachian Toys. Do we have that program going? It said the boxes you could get these educational assistants for teachers, maybe to help augment their lesson plans. And
that's exactly right. There's a lot of things that Joy Venstra, I say that name again because she's the person you should contact about anything that's related to education. If you want some of the resources that we have at the museum to come into your school, you contact Joy Venstra. If you want an opportunity for your school to come and learn about some of the things about Cleveland's history or what might be important for your lesson plan, well, you contact Joy Venstra. All those things that you referenced are resources that the museum has and would be more than happy to share. That's why we're there. That's why we have an education director. And if you contact her, I assure you that you will get everything you want and then some, because she's very eager to get involved.
Well, I saw particularly a teacher training workshop.
Yes.
Teaching TVA.
That's right.
That's a terrific part of the area's history.
It is.
Tennessee
it is.
Valley Authority. So I understand that there was an entire workshop dedicated to that,
That's
or will be on the 25th.
That's exactly right. There is. And, these are things that obviously we market as best we can, but we also just need word to spread. And I thank you for bringing that up, because that's another thing is that, we want to bring in things that are important for people in this community, not just from a historical standpoint sometimes, but just from an educational standpoint. We want to spread the word about this region and get people involved in understanding what's going on. And so that's just one of the things that the museum is trying to do.
Well, that's one of the things that builds pride in a community, isn't it? Is knowing where you come from.
We are telling the story of the Ocoee region. That is our mission statement right now. And so, that story extends all the way up into the Blue Ridge Mountains and all the way down. Quite frankly, it runs into Chattanooga as well. So, I mean, you're talking about some pretty vast coverage. So, yeah, we're wanting to tie it together, and we want everyone to be involved that we can.
I know I lived in about 5 different states when I was before I landed in Cleveland, but everywhere I went, it seems like it was the same thing over and over and over again, that people really didn't know about the local community. And because I worked in the newspaper and I talked to a lot of people, I generally ended up being more knowledgeable about the area than lifelong residents.
Sure. Well, the other day it was kind of funny. I was going to the museum to prepare something for our gala event, and I showed up, and it was right about closing time for the museum, and there was a guy standing outside, and he was looking through the windows, and the door was locked. And I said, can I help you? And he said, I'm such and such. He said, I'm from California. He said, I'm traveling across the state, and I've got different points that I'm hitting. And when I got to Memphis, I started hearing about Red Clay State Park and the Museum Center for some reason in Bradley County.
Wow.
And he said that he went out of his way 2 hours. He wasn't planning on coming through this part of the country, and he went out of his way 2 hours just to come to our museum. And so we did what we could to make it accessible to him, and he really enjoyed it, loved it, left happy, and we get a lot of good traffic like that, and we love it that people from out of the state are learning about us, but we want more people here to learn about us too, and what makes us who we are.
Well, I want to put a plug in for the quilt display that y'all had. Is it gone now?
It is right now, but
okay.
I will be coming back. And I can't tell you the exact dates that the quilt show will be going on, but some phenomenal, as you
that's
put
a
it,
beautiful thing.
beautiful quilts that
Just
come in. I mean,
amazing, and the work that goes into it.
all hand done. It's just overwhelming.
It's
what
art.
people do. It is.
It's
There's no
art.
doubt about it. Without a
Yes.
doubt. I mean, and it's kind of funny. People say, well, quilts. What's that got to do with you telling the story of the Ocoee region? You say, this is what people are doing here. These are the things that we grew up on. This is, my grandmother was a quilt maker, in South Bradley County. She stitched this stuff together. I mean, you're right. It may not be something that I'm doing right now or that I say, well, this is what my family did, but this is what this region started with. I mean, this is how people stayed warm, and they've transitioned it into a way to really express themselves. And it's an awesome event when we get to do it, and we get a lot of good traffic over it, too. It's really great.
Some families tell their story through quilts too, don't
You're
they?
right.
Oh, sure.
You're right. It's like a coat of arms almost sometimes.
Yeah.
The Wild River documentary is coming up. I'm very excited about that. Carolyn Harris, one of the finest ladies in Bradley County, and her daughter Judy were in that film. They were in that movie. Judy was the Barbara Baldwin. She was one of the little girls in the film. And I understand Carolyn and David Swafford and Allison Inman are going to come and
That's right.
and talk
That's right.
about the film.
There was we did a little, or it was a big thing about it. I think it was about 2 years ago, and that was actually, I had just gotten on the board after that had been done, and so my timing may be off a little bit, but it's time to bring it back. That is a huge deal for this part of the state and a big part of Cleveland. So, that's just, you can go down the list of things that are planned and down the list of what we have, and we could talk about it because the plan right now is about 16 months in advance. And we have things that are set and scheduled, and we have partnerships, and it's just going to continue to get better. And, we send out, if you become a member of the museum, I think an individual membership's around $30-something. If you come down there and you pay $30-something, every single month you get a newsletter from us that says everything that's going on at that museum. And it's not just, actually, it doesn't have any of the events that are private that are going on. It's just about the things from the exhibit spaces to our special events to our educational things. It's all of that fun stuff. And you can find us online, too, at the Museum Center at 5 Points online. So that's all great stuff.
You want to take a break?
Sure, David.
I want to take a break.
All right.
Okay.
Give me a kiss and the keys, that's what old Johnny said. I gotta get that big rig rolling down that lonesome road ahead. Then he held her close and whispered, sweet, sweet Louise, I'll be true till I bring back your kiss and the keys. About 190 miles down the road, the big rig came to a stop by a little white house with a yard full of kids, and they said, howdy, Pop. And standing in the door was sweet Marie, and he gave her a great big kiss. And after a while he was leaving again, and he said goodbye like this. Give me a kiss and the keys, that's what old Johnny said. I gotta get that big rig rolling down that lonesome road ahead. Then he held her close and whispered, sweet, sweet Marie, I'll be true till I bring back your kiss and the keys. About 8 hours on down the road at a place called the Diesel Well, Johnny got into a big bad brawl and they locked him in the cell. But you can't sell old Johnny short, he was quite a handsome brute. And the jailer's wife took a liking to him, she thought he was kinda cute. Give me a kiss and the keys, that's what old Johnny said. I gotta get that big rig rolling down that lonesome road ahead. Then he pulled her close up to the bars and whispered, honey, please, I'll be true till I bring back your kiss and the keys. I'll be true till I bring back your kiss and the keys.
You are listening to WOOP-LP, Cleveland, Tennessee. WOOP FM is a broadcasting service of the Traditional Music Resource Center, and we play America's original music.
Check into Check into Cash.
Turn your car into cash at Check Into Cash.
Get an auto title loan today for up to $2,500.
At Check Into Cash, you get the most for your car, and we make it quick, easy, and confidential.
Stop in for an auto title loan today or a payday advance for up to $425. Call toll-free 877-262-CASH.
Title loan amount determined by value of car and ability to repay. Borrowers often use payday advances over a period of months, which can be expensive. Restrictions apply. See store for details.
Did you know that U.S. Money Shops cashes all checks, even the ones most check cashers reject? Tax refund checks, government checks, payroll checks, and many more. And when you cash a check with U.S. Money Shops, we'll give you 10% off your next purchase. At U.S. Money Shops, we have everything you need at a fraction of regular retail. So stop by one of our 11 locations or visit us online at usmoneyshops.com.
Buy or sell or apply today. The better way at U.S. Money Shops.
Some restrictions may apply. See store for details.
If you need a little green, Lending Frog is making deals. He'll lend you cash on any kind of wheels. Borrow just a little, or you can borrow big. Lending Frog is a new financial gig. It's hip to hop into cash. LendingFrog.com is making a splash. Dig it, dig it. Dig it, dig it.
Wheeler Technologies has moved. Visit them at their new location at 490 Grove Avenue Southwest next to Bradley Rentals. Same great folks, same great service with a better location to serve you. Call Wheeler Technologies for voice, data, and security needs at 664-TECH. That's 664-8324. And remember, depend on Wheeler Technologies for the current time and temperature every day at 476-1111. Tennessee Alarm Contractor C1750.
Friday. Come one, come all to the Cleveland Speedway. That's right, race fans, are you ready for the thrill of down-home, high-speed, no-hold-back racing? Get ready for the all-new Cleveland Speedway. This Friday, racing comes back to Cleveland. It's time to get your dirt on. An all-new track, an all-new grandstand, and an all-new racing experience. The Cleveland Speedway this Friday. Bring the entire family. Gates open at 6:30. Racing starts at 7:30. If you love dirt track racing, get ready for the all-new Cleveland Speedway. This Friday, racing returns to Cleveland Speedway. Don't miss it. See you this Friday at the Cleveland Speedway. Friday.
Coach to Coach is sponsored by two great Cleveland, Tennessee institutions. Check Into Cash, founded in 1993, the pioneer of payday advances, and Hardwick Clothes, founded in 1880. Visit checkintocash.com to explore our micro-lending products, including installment and title loans. Hardwick.com, America's oldest tailored clothing maker, offers made-in-America quality suits and blazers. Visit us online and support two Tennessee legends.
Ah, the sounds of summer. If you had a pool, from Matthews Pool and Spa Company, 902 Sahara Drive in Cleveland, Tennessee. Call them at 423-476-4521 and get the pool or spa of your dreams. Do it now, Cleveland. Locally owned and operated for over 25 years right here in Cleveland, Tennessee, with over 75 years of total experience in the installation of pools and spas. So check out Matthews Pool and Spa for your new pool, spa, or any accessories you may need for a pool or spa you already have. Check them out here in Cleveland on Sahara Drive, 476-4521. Look out, kids, I'm gonna jump. Woo!
Stink. It smells like a cheating fire. shut your mouth. Something's changed, there's no doubt. I've had enough of your stepping out. Baby, your love's gone south. Guitar. Nothing's wrong, and I'm just paranoid. I've seen enough, your time is up with this old country boy, yeah. Yeah, listen up, shut your mouth. Something's changed, there's no doubt. I've had enough of your stepping out. Baby, your love's gone south. Listen up, shut your mouth. Something's changed, there's no doubt. I've had enough of your stepping out. Baby, your love's gone south. Get me out of here.
And that was Love's Gone South by the Collins Brothers.
Talk about
good song.
That's telling the Ocoee region right there, the story of the Ocoee region. The Collins Brothers. They're awesome.
Yeah, they are. We have with us our guest today, Andy Brown, who's the president of the 5 Points Museum Board. And then we have Hassan Najjar.
Hello.
Hello. Who is the executive director. You came here, how long you been here now? About 2 years?
Almost. I guess this coming March will be 2 years. So I'm coming up on it.
And where did you come from?
I was at the Hunter Museum of American Art in Chattanooga for almost 7 years. And before that, I was at a little history museum in Georgia. That's smaller than Museum Center at 5 Points.
So what's a history museum? I mean, we've got a history museum, don't we?
Yeah, there's the Rome Area History Museum in Rome, Georgia. So it's, a similar mission as the regional history museum focused on the history of Rome and Floyd County.
Okay.
So how do you get involved in a museum business?
Oh, boy, that's a great question. Well, if you ask a lot of people that have history degrees, what they've done with it, there's not, you could be a historian or you can move on to something else. And I guess I'm one of those people that moved on to something else. It was kind of nuts. One day I was walking through campus and my advisor asked me, he's like, what are you going to do with your history degree? I was like, I don't know. He's like, you should do an internship somewhere. I was like, okay, that's a good idea. And that's basically what I did. Ended up at the Charlotte Museum of History in North Carolina. And I had interned there for about a year, almost a year and a half. And just kind of fell in love with it and said, oh, this is the career for me. So just kind of went from there.
Well, excellent. We're glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you.
He is doing a heck of a job down at the museum, too. I can say on behalf of the Board of Trustees that we're very, very pleased with what he's been doing there. I mean, the exhibits are phenomenal. If you've heard anything I've been saying over the last little bit, I could say none of it without giving Hassan a lot of credit for it. So, I mean, he's doing a great job.
Thank you. I appreciate it. The board, the staff, when we sit around and think about, ways that we can be creative in telling the story of the Ocoee region. And the exhibits are a great way for us to do that. They change every 12 to 15 weeks. So people that come back, there's always something to see.
We were talking a little earlier about permanent collections and temporary rotating exhibits. What do you see as what is the benefit of doing?
Well, I mean, you can't deny it brings people in the door, and that's what we want to do. If you think about it, 95% of learning for everyone is done outside of a classroom. You only spend 5% of your life in a classroom learning. So what do you do with that other 95%? Where do you learn? And so a lot of people do that through TV. You learn things on TV. You learn things by reading books. We want people to come learn things at the museum, and so there's always an opportunity to come learn about your surroundings, your culture, your history, where you're from. History is a great way to inform decisions about now, inform decisions about the future. You can easily look back and see the mistakes that everyone's made before you in a safe environment.
20/20 hindsight,
exactly, right? And with that perspective, I think a lot of our leaders and decision makers, they have that historical perspective. They can look back at leaders from the past and see how they confronted very difficult situations and apply that to kind of a present time. And I think that in alone is a very effective reason to come and visit.
And don't forget our wonderful museum store.
That's
a lot
correct.
of people swear by it. It's the only place they buy stuff in Bradley County when it comes to gifts. So remember that.
What's in the museum store that's different than if you're going to Gatlinburg?
Well, come on. I mean, it's number one, you don't have to fight the traffic. Number two, it's right downtown. We pride ourselves on having really unique items in our store. The people that have items in there are artists and craftsmen that are within 150 mile radius. So they're all local, regional people, and it's all unique stuff. I ran into someone the other day. They're like, "Oh, I got to shop for so and so for a birthday present. I don't know what to get them because they have everything." Well, I promise you, they don't have everything that's in our store.
Right.
It's just a lot of unique stuff. You're not going to find it anywhere else, and it's kind of one of those. I feel a lot of times like the museum and the store is like one of Cleveland's best kept secrets, and I want to get it out of that secret zone, and I want people to know about it.
And I would personally put a plug in. I've done local history research. There are lots of books there at your store.
Oh yeah,
that you cannot find anywhere else.
And they're not on Amazon either.
No, they're not.
We had someone come along, I can get this cheaper on Amazon. No, you can't. It's not there.
You can't find it on
yeah.
Amazon.
Yeah, I tell you, it's a lifesaver for me, and I fairly confident my wife is not listening right now, but it's wonderful. In the morning, if I'm like, I need to get my wife something, I just pop into the store and there's an array of items.
You do it weeks in advance. Don't lie. You don't go the morning of.
I'm never in the doghouse. I come home with the jewelry easily.
The first gift I got Carmen was from the Museum Center store.
How about that?
Yeah.
The first gift?
The very first gift.
How long have y'all been married?
October 2nd. It'll be. We got married in 2009. We got married in 2009, and our anniversary is October 2nd.
That is
you heard it here, folks.
And I don't know how many years it is because I'm a writer, and I can't add and subtract. So.
Yeah, I mean, the products run, from jewelry to handmade wooden bowls and cutting boards to birdhouses to books. We have wind chimes in there now that are just huge, exquisite.
Got some children's toys too.
Children's toys, yeah, they're all handmade. Mm-hmm. I mean, none of this, made in foreign country stuff. It's all made, not only is it made in USA, but it's made right here in our region.
I don't think you can beat that, David.
I don't think so. But I want to get back to the Smithsonian. I mean, we're not a very big museum, and it seems pretty impressive to me that we could have a partnership with a national museum.
Yeah, the Smithsonian, they have over 100, and they're the largest repository of Americana. They're one of the largest museums, if not the largest museum in the world. They have warehouses upon warehouses of artifacts. There's about 189, 190 Smithsonian affiliates like us across the country. And the relationship that we're building with them is going to be one that's very beneficial for the museum and for Cleveland. Us being able to bring in exhibits, us being able to really the other benefits that the public won't see is us being able to gain access to research is a big thing for us. Us being able to access specialized speakers that could come to Cleveland and talk on certain subjects is another great opportunity. You asked me during the break about our size and the unusualness of that. Yeah, we are small for a Smithsonian affiliate. A lot of the exhibits that they travel year after year, they have a minimum square footage, that they'll allow an exhibit to display in. And so a lot of museums, their temporary square footage is, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 square feet. Ours is a little right at, 900 square feet. So we can't get a lot of the bigger exhibits because of those requirements, but they do have a handful of exhibits that we can borrow that'll fit in our space. Over time, if the museum does expand or if we find some way to be creative on the space, it'd be nice to be able to get some of those bigger ones in. But for a space our size, I'm thankful for the relationship that we do have. We are definitely on the smaller spectrum of affiliate museums. I think there's a lot of opportunity.
Let me ask you a question. I'm going to take over your show for a minute. If so, the museum at 5 Points, if you sign up there, you can go to other Smithsonian affiliate museums for free. Is that correct?
Yeah, they have their own affiliation program, but we also have a affiliation program that's kind of separate from that one, depending on what membership level that you're at. I think it's the patron level and above. You've got free admission to over, I think, 700, 800, 900 museums across the country.
And these are major museums
Yes.
in places like New York, Chicago, San Francisco,
Well,
Los Angeles,
forget
I'm sure.
that. If you go to the Hunter, that's included. the First in Nashville's included. KMA in Knoxville.
So one of the things about that, if somebody's going on a family vacation or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
like that, they can go here and pay the cost for a membership
Yeah.
in Cleveland of $60.
Yeah.
And they can take that membership to one of these big areas.
I used it in Seattle, and I saved probably about $300.
Save all sorts of money going to these museums. Take your family, go do all this fun stuff. You could. That's one of the biggest benefits that we do from a financial standpoint, is giving people access to things like that.
We had a family of four that went to Florida, and she, it's her and her husband and 2 kids, and they went to several museums when they went down to Disney in Orlando, and all of them were on it. And you're talking about it, admission rates that are $25 per person, and kids aren't free. And she was able to just use her, museum center membership and not pay. That's great.
You heard it here, folks. Kids aren't free.
They are not.
They want to eat every day, too, don't
every
they?
single day. They expect showers
They do.
and shelter.
They do.
And amazing.
My mama told me I wasn't free, and I told my kid he wasn't free. So I guess we've never been free. But and what is a religious artifact? Since we don't have the cup that Jesus drank from,
No.
what are we getting?
With that exhibit, the one that's coming from Houston, I don't know, how much you guys covered. The Israeli Antiquities Authority is kind of like the national overhead organization in Israel that oversees all the digging up of these objects out of the soil and the bedrock, and oversees their safekeeping and how they're loaned out and used. And so right now they're in Houston. And they'll be there until the end of the year. They'll be here in Cleveland for a year, and then I think they may be going to L.A. They're still trying to get that contract signed. But it's a collection of objects from a very specific site. and then it's called Khirbet El Mekatir. And Khirbet means ruins of, and El Mekatir is the city that these ruins have come from, or these relics have come from. And so if you go back to Joshua 7 and 8 in the Bible, it talks specifically about this city and basically how it was ransacked and burned to the ground by Joshua and his 300,000 men. And so these particular objects are from that walled city, and it was very heavily fortified. Joshua was able to use 200,000 of his men to lure out basically all of the soldiers out of this city, and then Joshua sent in another 100,000 of his men to basically burn the joint down. And then as all the troops were outside of the city, they turned around and saw their homes on fire. They turned around and went back to meet an angry army, only to be followed by another angry army, and they were decimated. I think at the end of the day, from what I recall, the ruler of that city, Joshua, had him hung by a tree, and then at the end of the day threw him on the city gate, and that was that. He moved on to the next thing. But
that's almost as good as going to a movie.
Yeah,
it is.
Well, and so what they've been able to do at this site is they've really been able to confirm the biblical account. You know, they've got the scarring on the rocks that's conducive of really high temperatures, so they can confirm, you know, this place was definitely burned. They've got artifacts in there that date back to the specific time period. So some of the items that are in this exhibition, there's the socket stone. So imagine just a large unwieldy stone with basically kind of a socket in the middle that a gate would turn on. And this was the gate that was at the front of the city, and then this is the stone that it was that you know it turned on. I think I was telling you, there's some sling stones in there. Some people may be familiar with those. So a sling stone would be something that you would basically put into a sling and, you know, wind up and then release. Think David and Goliath.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this would be the type of stone that David would have taken Goliath down with. There's coins, a lot of coins that are coming with it. From different time periods. One of the ones I think is really interesting is a coin that was issued during the reign of Pontius Pilate. And so that's also in the exhibit as well as pottery shards, funerary urns. Really gives us a glimpse into how these people lived. And what I just think that's so awesome about it is this is a biblical account that has been confirmed, and we'll have it right here in Cleveland.
And it has nothing to do with Indiana Jones. And
afraid not. No. There's no
well, we don't know
Doom.
for sure. There might be a new movie coming out.
There might be
once we get it here. Hassan's going to be Indiana Jones, though.
Yeah, I'll take the whip.
Did you like Indiana Jones?
I love that. I mean, you know, growing up, I loved all those movies. It's kind of weird looking back on my childhood now that I work like exclusively in history. I look back to those things that I really liked growing up, and I'm like, oh, yeah, I was into that stuff. I really did like that. But no, I mean, it's a big, great exhibit. And it'll be a fabulous opportunity for people of Cleveland to see something that they probably will never have the opportunity to see again. You know, once they leave here, you know, they'll be here for a whole year. They may go to L.A. for a year, and then they're back to Israel.
And they arrive when? When do they arrive?
Well, we don't have the dates definite, but it'll probably be late January when it opens. We're still getting the paperwork signed, but I'm feeling very confident enough now on air to say that it'll be here.
I got to see the King Tut exhibit in San Francisco one time. One of my ships just happened to tie up there when it was there at Golden Gate Park, and I had a piece of equipment that had kept me awake for days, and I was just dog tired. His friend, he talked me into going over there, so we ended up at Golden Gate Park, went to the exhibit, and of course the lighting, his museum lighting, is
very
real dark.
dramatic.
And I remember walking up to the mask, and I went to sleep. And so he poked me, and we'd go to the next exhibit, and I'd go to sleep. The only reason I know I was there is I bought a program, but So you'll have programs, right?
Oh, I'm sure we will. Yeah, if that'll keep you awake, then yes.
So does that mean people that come and see the exhibit will see David Davis sleeping?
But I'm going to go. I'm going to come.
We'll
to,
stick a label
I'm,
on you.
I'm going to come to that one. Well, just don't ship me back to Israel. But I'm going to come rested up though.
That's good.
So that I'm no longer in the Navy. Don't have any ships to break down or anything
That's
like
good.
that. You
That's
know?
real
So,
good.
Yeah,
so I'm going to come rested up, and I'll guarantee you I'll be wide awake.
You know, you can kind of tell, David, you know, when I was talking before Hassan got here, you know, I was pretty broad strokes. And the difference between the museum back a few years ago and now is that it used to be all broad strokes. And now we've got Hassan, who's the detail guy. And he's in there, and he's making sure that every T's crossed, every I's dotted. And when you go to these exhibits, if he's there, which he is all the time, I mean, even when he's not supposed to be, he's there, you will get one of the best educations about what is going on at the museum and what is going on with the exhibits that you can ever expect anywhere. So
yeah,
you know, that's one of the great things that we've got going on right now. This guy right here with all this detail. So
Thank you. You know, and I definitely can't take
don't,
all the.
Don't tell him all of that stuff. He'll want to leave.
I can't take all the credit for that. I've got an amazing staff. You know, Lisa Chastain is our curator of collections, and I mean, it's really, you know, I'm just the guy that's here on the radio, but she's back there, you know, doing all the research on the next exhibits.
Well, she could have been on the radio, and you could have stayed.
She
there,
loves
right?
being on the radio. I should have brought her. I'm kidding. She hates it. You know, she's one of those behind the scenes types that, you know, does such a great job. You know, all of our staff, you know, work really hard to put all of this together for public consumption. And, you know, a lot of people, you know, they ask me, well, how am I supposed to know what's happening at the museum? Yada, yada, yada. I'm like, well, are you a member? A lot of times, no, I'm not. Well, that's really, you know, that's one of the best ways to find out what's happening is, you know, our member newsletter that goes out in the mail every quarter. We have our weekly emails. You know, if you don't want to commit to being a member, you can get the weekly email. Kind of tells you what's going on. There are a lot of ways to get plugged in. So if you don't know what's happening at the museum, it's on your own accord. We've got a lot of opportunities for you to find out what's happening. You just need to take the first step. Membership is a great value. There's a lot of benefits. One of the greatest perk that everyone raves about is our member discount program. There are several businesses that are downtown. You show your membership card and you get a discount. Jack's Clean Right, you won't pay full price for dry cleaning there if you're a museum member. Cafe Roma, Catch, Cobblestone, Spot, Hider Hangout, Trailhead Bicycle, CBC Cleveland. They just came on 10% discount there, plus 50% off the pool tables if you're a museum member. That's a steal right there.
Can you believe all that stuff's in downtown Cleveland now?
No.
I mean,
No,
that's a huge change, isn't
wonderful.
It
Yes,
is. Just in the 10 or 11 years I've been here, it's just amazing what there is down there now.
Oh, yeah. It's great.
And there's a lot more to come.
There's no doubt about it.
As they develop the Whirlpool property,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what it's going to look like, but it's going to be different. It's going to be a good ride, I think.
I think there's some big plans. It's going to be an exciting time.
Yeah, and we're situated in a pretty good location to take advantage of all that. So, you know, I know at the museum we're excited about all the growth as well, and we're glad that we could be a part of it.
Mm-hmm. Well, just don't let them take your expansion area.
We'll try not to.
So that if all 100,000 people should happen to belong to the museum center, then
that would be fabulous.
You might expand to 1,000 square feet. Right?
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, it'd be 1,000. We wouldn't exceed 1,000 though.
Yeah, I mean, we would love to. Naturally, would love to have more members at the museum and more people there. You know, the big issue for us is just getting the word out and letting people know what's happening. And people are used to the museum being a certain way, and I think it'll just take time for them to realize, oh, hey, there's something there I need to go check out. If you haven't been to the museum in over a year, you need to come take a second look. Bottom line.
And it's not that it's ever been bad, it's that it's getting so much better. We hope it is. We feel that way, and we're biased, but that's
totally
the
biased.
objective.
Yeah.
And that's what we're really striving
Well, because a lot of people, I went one time back in, you know, 2004. I'm like, okay, well, guess what? It's different. It's not the same. So you need to come check it out.
Okay, well, everybody go see the music. Go to the Museum Center at 5 Points and check it out. And we've had that's from the executive director, Hassan Najjar, and the president, Andy Brown.
Thanks, David. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Well, I'm glad y'all came. Are you going to sit there and just smile?
No, I'm just happy. I'm a big museum nerd. I'm happy to learn all this, and I could talk to you guys all day.
Well, we're happy to come, so thanks a lot.
Thank you both.
Well, unfortunately, if we keep Andy around any longer, he'll have to start charging us.
Well, that's right, and the police may come and get me. I'm supposed to be in court, I think, right now.
Okay.
But I could stay and listen to the Collins Brothers a little longer if you wanted to play some on my way over there.
All right. We'll see what's coming up.
Thank you both. Thank you both.
Thanks.
My good gal is trying to make a fool out of me.